Welcome, welcome. So welcome to this session, the second part 2 in the Harnessing the Power of LinkedIn webinar series. What we know is that LinkedIn is the networking platform for professionals. It has over 660 million users across the globe today. And if you have a job, you likely have a profile. Maybe you post, perhaps you don't. Either way, you likely can improve your presence and make the platform work for you. The Harnessing of the Power of LinkedIn series is all about leveraging LinkedIn to work for you, offering tips and tricks to optimize your LinkedIn presence. We all can use some help with putting our best foot forward, as well as finding the best talent for our businesses. As a community, we plan to share resources, information, and address concerns in a way that is correct, helpful, and current. So today is a day for you to really harness the power of LinkedIn. This is part 2 on finding your people and helping them find you. We have 2 amazing panelists today, and we're going to take you step by step in how to do this. Let me introduce them, and then I'm going to turn it over to them. So we have Shalonda Stokes and Brad Holman. Brad is in the higher education and technology executive with over 15 years of experience, particularly in the higher education space, under a global context, delivering learning and student experience solutions at scale across several regions around the world. He's also an entrepreneur and has started many businesses in tech startup space. He is a technology strategist, and I think I'll give him that title. And he started with Microsoft in 2020, in January 2020. He's also a UMBC retriever and has an MBA from the University in Liverpool. Shalonda Stokes is known to many and friend of all. She is a results-oriented executive who was named president of Downtown Partnership of Baltimore, and CEO of the Downtown Management Authority in 2020. In addition to leading these 2 nonprofits that have a multi-million-dollar budget and programs that make Baltimore a dynamic place where businesses, people, culture thrive, she is helping lead Baltimore through COVID-19 crisis. She served on Mayor Jack Young's Small Business Recovery Task Force and is co-leading the Mayor Brandon Scott's transition team for business, workforce, and neighborhood development. Prior to becoming the CEO of Downtown Partnership, Shalonda spent the last 20 years as president and CEO of Graybo, a full-service marketing and entertainment agency. She is a much sought-after thought leader. She is the recipient of over 85 community and professional awards. She is someone that companies, individuals look to, and if you don't believe me, ask State Farm, Hewlett-Packard, Under Armour, the Smithsonian, Coca-Cola, to name a few. She has many awards. She was recently recognized by the Governor's Office of Minority Affairs and the Daily Record as one of the most influential individuals in Maryland. And she is just a huge add value to our community. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Brad and Shalonda.
Thank you, Brad. I'm nervous after that introduction once they see my LinkedIn skills of where it can only go downhill from there. So to Alicia, I just thank you for the opportunity. And Brad, I'm excited and nervous at the same time.
That introduction was all true. So they're not going to be ashamed. Everybody has these issues. Let me tell people how they can also insert questions during this talk. I almost forgot. You can text your questions in 22333 and type JHUWL in the message. You may also put them in Zoom if you're joining us in Zoom. I see questions already coming in. You may also put them on Facebook. We have people working behind the scenes, and we'll get to all of your questions at the end of the program. So please put them as they come to you, and we'll get to them. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to Brad and Shalonda.
Thank you so much.
And Shalonda, it's great to be able to be on here with you and share this kind of this working session is what I would look at and treat this more of a conversation. And it doesn't go down from here. It's only going to go up. Having such a robust and strong history that you offer and you're bringing to Baltimore, we want to make sure that we can showcase your brand to the best of its ability. We've done 2 other series prior to this where we talked about LinkedIn learning for small businesses and how small businesses have access to go out and learn different things that can help them upskill and be more prepared for this new world we live in. The second series we did was around your profile, rocking your profile, we would say. And I'm going to actually touch a little bit on that with you because your brand as Shalonda Stokes represents the position you carry as a president of these nonprofit organizations. So we want to marry those together nicely so they well develop the brand of both the nonprofit and you. So they're not competing, but they're force multiplying. So I think you'll learn a lot today. I'll learn a lot today from you, and I'm looking forward to stepping through this. So I will talk quite a bit, but I'd like to have engagement. So please interject, or if you have questions, jump in. This is going to be extremely tactical. You'll be sharing screen. Okay. I will be walking you through how to do things, and folks will learn as we go. So I'm going to start with your profile. Then I'm going to traverse into something called LinkedIn business pages. That's the business page that represents your company. And then I'm going to go over distributed content. So how do you get content out to the population, out to your network, out to the masses to better understand what your brand is? And then I'll close up with the LinkedIn marketing and what's available if you use that service.
All sounds good. I need it all. We need it all.
So if you can do me a favor and share out your screen with your personal LinkedIn profile.
Okay. So let me first, because I think I have them both up. So
there you go. Perfect. Excellent. So in here, if you go to home at the top on the ribbon at the very top along the middle of the screen, there you go. And then you click on your icon of your face there above your name. Just going to step through a few things around how you can tweak your profile a little bit. We touched on this last session, but it's good while you're here to do that. One thing is your photo. You're hitting right on the mark as far as what your photo looks like. It's always covering around 60% of the space. It represents your personality. It's not very, people used to say like LinkedIn's very corporate and you got to have your suit on. You have to look all proper. No, you want to actually represent who your genuine self is, right? So you've done a great job with that. I'm also going to have you go, if you see the little pencil right there under your face, there, perfect. Mm-hmm. If you click that for me, there's a few things that you can do inside of here. So if you scroll all the way to the bottom, and a lot of this is pretty straightforward. You can check our other session for these other pieces, but there's a contact information profile URL. The very bottom right, there's a pencil.
Yeah. Let me move the thing so I can get there. Yeah.
Sure. So if you click that pencil when you're able to get to it, mm-hmm. Perfect. There's a profile URL, and you can see it's linkedin.com.in. And it says Shalonda-Stokes-8826. It's very long, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not suggesting you change it now, but if you click that little link, it's going to take you to a page that allows you to update that.
Okay.
Now, anyone that has that link already, they'll have to understand, but it's typically good to make that more user-friendly so maybe you could just do your first last name together or something like that in the future.
Which would be so great because I think in all of my social channels, that's what I try to do consistently. So If you would allow it, I know sometimes it's the challenge if somebody has a similar name.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And this comes back to searchability, right? So if someone looks up your name and it's this dash and it's got 8826, that might not give you as quick of a top response on the search.
Thank you. So it was available. Shalonda Stokes was available.
There you go.
Thank you.
All right. So if we go back to now, so that middle page just opened up your public page. So you can go ahead and close that right now.
This one? Okay.
Correct. So if you go, there's a few things. Let's
close this.
Go back. Yeah, you can close that. You can click discard because we're not making any major changes here right now. But let's go ahead and hit that pencil one more time.
Okay.
So if you notice, by default, your headline is your title. Mm-hmm. See that, President at Downtown Partnerships of Baltimore. That's powerful, but I think you have a lot more of a powerful narrative behind what your strengths are and what you bring to bear.
No,
So
that's it. That's everything. That's only, no, I'm just kidding.
so all of the things that you get into that you're working, you're working with the mayor, you're working with this economic development around Baltimore, all these strengths, think about it. And I've actually gave some direction on the last series. Take time out of your week, maybe an hour, reach out to your colleagues that are in your LinkedIn network and ask them what they think your strengths are, and then pull and distill all that together. And what you typically can see on one to kind of rock this headline is you just outline all of your strengths, and you can either pipe separate them with that vertical line.
Yeah.
And you can put a lot more content in there to really sell the brand of Shalonda. So something to think about when you, as a takeaway action, as you're continuing to build up that brand profile that you have there.
I love that. And just fill this section with all of it. And this is the pipe you're talking about, just to keep whatever.
Exactly right. Precisely. There's also, if you scroll further down, you've got, okay, good. You have all that information in there. There's also, if you can click X for me.
Okay.
And discard. You've got your homework after we get done this event.
I do.
If you keep scrolling down, we can see you've got under the featured section you see up there. In there, you can add. So you did this. You did a webinar this morning with Downtown, right? You could actually take that recorded session and link that into your featured section as part of your profile.
So when I do that, would I link it from like YouTube? Because I know we post it on YouTube. So or is it embedded in LinkedIn?
You can actually, if you do the ad feature, you don't have to do it now. It gives you the option to use the URL from YouTube, and it will place that in. It looks like rich media.
Oh, that's good.
The more media, the more content you load into your profile that's focused around the activities you're carrying on with, the different parts of the economy and the different parts of the community, it's going to give you more brand awareness. So people are going to find you faster. So just some additional, food for thought, right?
I like that.
Let's see.
Let's do a part 2 so you can come back and see if I did my homework.
Yeah, see if you rocked your profile and if ramped up the business page. That'd be great. If you scroll a little further down for me, it shows your activity that we're doing, shows your experience. Let's see. Very good. So some other things that you can do is, and you don't have to do it now, but you can outline in first person narrative what it is you're accomplishing or have accomplished in your positions, because building out that experience helps to build out a better understanding of what you've done. Just saying I'm a president of the downtown Baltimore, that's good, but there's a lot left to be discovered, if you will.
No, that's very true.
Let me see what else do I have? So the other pieces are you can see here the skills and endorsements. These are your top. Make sure you can identify that these seem to be your top skills that you have that you're being endorsed for. And I'll direct you to the prior series around going into the details of this, because I wanted to cover the marketing stuff for this one. And then there's recommendations at the bottom that you could reach out to your network and have them write a recommendation letter for you. Looks like you have a few here. Probably worth doing a regular update on getting a recommendation on the things that you're doing. Make sure you're doing what you're doing right and getting feedback from your community just around that.
Oh, so in this case, which I've never done. So if I click on that ask for a recommendation, you literally go to your network and say, hey, will you recommend me?
Yeah. And if the person's super busy, like for example, our mayor, you could say, hey, I wrote this thing out.
Right.
Right. I wrote this thing out. Does this look cool? And if you're okay with it, approve it. And it'll come back to you as the recommendation.
Perfect.
So again, I know sometimes it seems it's hard to talk about yourself, but that's not the purpose of this. The purpose is so people understand who Shalonda Stokes really is, and you get as much of that information and accomplishments out there.
No, this is helpful. Thank you.
So here's some more. These are pretty straightforward things that expanding your reach. So that's going to be if you have coworkers or let me just click off of that. I had a question coming the way. If you have coworkers that you've worked with in the past that are in your network, you can go click on your prior employment and search the employees of there that have been employed by your prior employers, and try to make connections with your coworkers as well.
Mm-hmm.
If you have clients that you've worked with, which I'm not sure if you have, that's suitable in this use case, but you can reach out to them to make connections.
No, I think
Industry peers. So if you have an industry that you're part of and you do a search on that in LinkedIn, you can go through and LinkedIn will help you identify top peers in the industry.
so within this experience section, that's where you're talking about. If I wanted some additional, do I click? Is this?
Well, that would be adding your experience. But if you were to click on the actual company,
Right.
which right now you're in the company, but if you clicked on the one at the
Packard, as an example,
there you go, precisely.
So
You could go to Hewlett Packard's page, identify that there's 186,958 employees on LinkedIn. And if you go traverse through those would be people that used to work and work at that you could make connections with. And the whole point of all of this is you don't want to build your network with just everyone, right? You want to build your network with people that you know, that you've had interactions with, that you've built trusting relationships with. And that helps fortify that brand. That's the whole point of this whole section, is expanding your reach.
Very good. Got it. I like that section. And I have a question kind of leaning towards that, because I know I get a little bit overwhelmed when you get people requesting and some things like that and following. So listening to you, some of it, I know people are interested in connecting because of business and, opportunities and all of that. But is there sort of a rule of thumb around, because you get so many people selling things. I mean, it
yeah.
a bit overwhelming to kind
of. Don't be afraid to ignore a cold sale if you don't know the person or it doesn't seem relevant to you, right? If you have a message that comes out and they just want to connect and say, we're going to do this and that and this for you, and it doesn't seem like it's something that you want to be part of, it's not like you're ghosting them. You're simply saying, I don't know this person. So maybe another time you'll connect when it seems right, but at this time it's not.
Right. And I can say, Brad said.
That's right. So, and I'm not the force of authority here, but this is from perspective that I've seen and what I've learned through the times. So the other thing is, if you don't mind taking a peek, let's look at your My Network.
Okay.
This is just the other things. You have some folks that would have reached out on invitations. You have in the middle. So these are the ones you can go through and peruse if you don't. And saying ignore, again, is not a bad thing. This is just saying, I don't know this person. So maybe it's another time that I need to connect.
I hope none of people are watching, but go.
As you can see on the left-hand side that you have connections. You have a fairly large quantity of connections at the top there. You have contacts, you have groups. All of these are kind of like hub and spokes. And you go to the next hub, it's got other spokes. And you go to the next hub, it's got other spokes. These are ways that you can branch out and just start to identify net new relationships if you don't have them and you happen to know someone that's connected to another person.
So the connections are people within LinkedIn who I connect with already.
That you are already connected with. That's right.
And then the contacts, is that from my contact list or something?
Yeah, so it links up to if you have associated with like your person, when you signed up for LinkedIn, you had maybe your Hotmail or your Gmail or whatever it may be. You give the option to give access to your contacts in the beginning, and it's using that. You do not have to use that to search for them. So it's not, you can turn that off, but if you so desire.
Got it.
And then if you scroll down in the middle there, pretty straightforward, right? Online events that might be for you. This is based on the LinkedIn kind of algorithm, based on what your interests are, what industry you're in, etc. Here's folks that have gone to your school that you might know, at Morgan State.
Yeah.
And all down the middle, it just shows different ways that you can reach out to connect. So I'm not saying that you need to like live in here, but it's good to periodically come in and take a peek to see if there's anyone new that you might have forgotten about from your history that might have crossed them and say, oh, wow, I didn't realize that they're working there. Try to connect with them. So
these aren't people who tried to connect. These are people who LinkedIn sort of based on some of the data.
There you go. Is suggesting that you may be interested in connecting with. And then the last kind of cool way to connect, which I think I personally like, because if you remember back in the day, people would roll around with business cards, right? And they would be throwing out their business cards to everybody. And in the modern day of sustainability and reducing carbon footprints, LinkedIn, if you get the app, and I'm gonna try to zoom this up on the screen, and hopefully it'll look a little. There's like in the search, when you open the app on your main feed, there's this kind of quirky little icon here in the search. And if you click that icon, it brings up it's a scanner, or it's your own personal QR code.
Okay.
So rather than like, if you're at a conference, or even if you and I are here sitting on this Zoom call and I just did that and you put your camera up, you could like literally scan it and connect with me.
So that's then I'm pulling up my LinkedIn app, and you said, so in the search bar, that little, yep, I have it.
The little quirky looking icon, it looks like a mini QR code.
Perfect.
And so that's like your digital business card.
I like it.
But more than that, you can get really creative. There's an option there you go. There's an option that you can export that as a picture or just the code. Go ahead and email it to yourself or save it in your pictures. And whenever you do a presentation, just throw that up there on the presentation, like when you get to a point to say, if you want to connect to me, and everyone that's sitting in front of the screen can hold their phone up and immediately connect you on LinkedIn.
I like that. So then I don't seem so 1980s. You're saying then I seem
right. Not rolling around with the business cards, right?
Right. I like it.
Yeah, it's a cool feature. So I like that capability. All right, so that's your profile. We've put some time into that. Now the other tab that you have there is your company page.
Okay.
So I'm gonna use this time not to say anything negative. It's guidance on what could help this, right?
Let me just put a disclaimer. We receive it all. Part of what we recognize is we have not put a lot of emphasis on LinkedIn. And so that's why I'm excited about what you and Alicia are doing, not only for us, but for our base as well.
Yep.
So I thank you. We want to get better. So tell us the good, the bad, the ugly.
Absolutely. So I won't say it's ugly. It's just what are areas that we can strengthen.
Okay.
So for the first thing that I see is the downtown partnership icon. So you've got a circle icon, but there's a white outline. So something worth looking into is getting rid of the white borders. Pretty quick thing that one of your design folks can do. So you have that clean circle that's going on, right?
Does it matter when you do that if because I know sometimes if you use a JPEG, it automatically does it. Does LinkedIn take like EPS files or whatever? Is that how it's able to do that?
I don't know the different file formats. It should have it within when you go to add it, what's supported. But if you get the icon and it's set as a circle and it's transparent on the background, which you can typically get that created, that's how I would recommend loading that in. The other one is your banner, which is a beautiful picture of the Baltimore City skyline. However, what I would suggest is if you have someone that's running your social media campaigns and things like that, like the event that happened this morning, you could overlay what are you guys going to be working on? What's the latest things that are going to be happening? Because the first thing that people see when they hit this page is that. So if you have very large text that's going across on, January 26th at 9 a.m., we're having a webinar with the mayor. And come join, and you can put maybe some information on where to register there, and then more details down below.
How does that translate to like mobile devices? If I did it in here, should I do it on the mobile and it come here? You know what I mean? Is there sort of on there?
It'll show up. It renders it in the mobile format, but you'll see at the very top bar of your mobile, it'll have this banner just kind of like pushed in, but it will definitely still show text that you put in there.
Perfect. Thank you.
Let's see.
A totally different question, and this may be way out of the realm, but can you put video or like motion graphic elements in there, or are they all static?
That's a great question. We'll put I think this stays static, but let me confirm that for you, because that is rich. You can put rich media below in your posts, like video and presentations and all these, just the mural of different photos that you might want to do. But let me confirm that you can do like a scrolling banner or a live banner. That's a great question. Thank
you. Once you get us going, we want to go all the way.
No, it's great. I mean, It's really around getting your anyone that's interested in your organization, getting them to go and see and learn everything they can about the organization, engaging them with this site. So it's like the great thing is you don't have to host a web service. It's all these tools are just there. You just have to configure them.
Good.
So now that we've covered the banner piece of it, I'm going to have you do me a favor and click the little button that says edit page. It's a blue button. There it is.
Yeah.
Fabulous. So this is your this description. I'm going to kind of tick through all the things on the left-hand side, but the overview is really going to talk about everything that is representative of your organization. I think you've done a great job outlining that here. Anytime that anything net new that's going to happen, or if you guys are getting into new industry, new partnerships, you can outline that piece here. You can see that it also gives you space to host your website, your actual website, not your LinkedIn website, which is great. You got that taken care of. Industry is key. You've got that squared to make sure that you're connecting with other industries that are like you. So I think you've hit that perfectly as nonprofit. You're categorized as a small business, so 51 to 200 employees. So you're good there. You're not for profit. The phone number obviously goes without saying. Use the number that's going to be for your business, not Sholanda's number, so they're not hitting who, right? Founding date is great. And then the really interesting one is the specialties. You can get up to 20. And your organization, Downtown Partnership, is really the spectrum you serve is very interesting, right? Like Restaurant Week in Baltimore and Thursdays concerts, when we could kind of go to those. I guess you can social distance those now.
Right.
The tree lighting ceremony, cleaning up the parks. Like there's so many interesting things that you bring to offer to improve Baltimore. Making sure you're very clear on providing those specialties is very, very important, because what happens is if someone searches in LinkedIn or even in Bing or in Google, I have to say Bing, but they would have to, the top hit would come back as, the more that you have these specialties, it's going to surface a better hit with these specialties as opposed to if you did not have them.
Perfect. And I can have up to 20 of those, you said? You
can have up to 20.
Got it.
And then the last one is your hashtags. So this one's a little bit more targeted. You get 3 hashtags. So I see you've got these here already established. What's good to find out with the hashtags is have your social media team do a search on how many folks are using these hashtags.
Yeah, to find.
Because if they're not getting a lot of hits, you're not getting a lot of exposure. So you'll want to kind of do some strategizing around that to make sure you find ones that have really high hits.
Very good.
Okay. So let me make sure I've covered all of my key topic areas on the pages. I feel pretty good about that. Any questions you have on that piece of it, Shalonda?
No, that's extremely helpful.
Excellent. So I am going to now go into a section around sharing content, and I'm going to ask you to let me, I'm going to actually share my screen.
Okay.
And step through this. So just give me one moment while I pull this up. And I will do my very best to make this as large as I can. Let me know if you get this into slide view.
Yeah.
So I can't see my video or you right now, but I'm kind of blinded in this presentation mode, but I'll do my best to keep facing right. So when you talk about content or a content strategy with LinkedIn, the idea is that there are several avenues that we'll call them opportunities that you can leverage and use to maximize your brand awareness. Okay. So this one around LinkedIn company and showcase pages. So you just showed me your showcase page or your LinkedIn company page. What's recommended, and this is like a playbook for you to follow. So that's why this is really helpful for me to show this is like, what do I do where? I get that question a lot. Like, what type of posts do I do? Or how often should I be engaged? This is a good page to help kind of articulate that for you. So when you're sharing in your company page, you want to use things like white papers, books, case studies, as you see here. industry articles that might be related. I keep going back to this webinar that you just put on. I highly recommend that. That's like when that recording is done, that is front and center as one of your posts that you put in, because that's a very important one. Helpful how-to content. And what this does is it's going to build out your brand awareness, your thought leadership, your lead generation. Obviously, if you have an event, it's going to get that out there so you can do registration of that event. And then the way that you measure it is around these elements here on the right. And I'm not going to go through all these. This is a lot, but this will be available to the anyone that wants to, that's attending this or goes and watches. This is available to be consumed.
Brad, just in kind of walking me through it, you're saying on the left hand side where it says time, is that the amount of time you're recommending to dedicate, or the amount of time it takes? Like, how do you?
This is the amount of time that I recommend if you have someone that's running, and this is important, right? Social media is like front and center, the way that we all connect now. Okay. So in LinkedIn, taking that 1 hour, having that person focus attention to 1 hour daily to either going out into social media and finding, like even out on LinkedIn, and finding other groups that are not for profit, for example, that are doing similar things that you can also talk about. Or if you have net new things that you have been working on, which I know you have a lot that you and your company work on, posting those and putting an effort into putting that information out there.
Which is good. So you say you spend about an hour daily on that. And then, so is the recommendation in an ideal fashion that you add all of this time up, and this is the amount of time you get somebody dedicated for an organization like us? We should really have somebody spending this amount of time per day.
Correct. You have someone that's just focused on keeping the site and the platform groomed and current at all times, because content is king, right? And if your content becomes stale or isn't updated, people won't come back. So you gotta constantly push that, kind of like provide that information drip that people are looking for about what's happening with your company, so they can kind of address the thirst of wanting that information.
Which is good. So at the bottom, I see you even have LinkedIn groups.
Correct.
That one. So the thought is that you spend some time really being intentional about who you're connecting with and how different groups are getting in there.
Exactly right. And you can see that as you add these up, it gets to, maybe 3 hours out of a day, 3.5 hours, 4 hours out of a day that could be spent in focusing attention on this solely around developing the brand awareness and reach of your company.
Wow. It's a lot, but I could see getting the return on it. I think I'm now more of a sporadic, like a pop in, pop out. And so there's no consistency.
So, and normally, I believe you have you have someone that actually it's not, you're busy, right? It's not Shalonda running around running the social media campaign for all of your company. You'll have someone that you'll put your objectives down. So you can see here, you got objectives down this middle line. You're going to articulate as the president, these are my objectives that I have with what I want to do with our site and how I want our brand to be perceived and how I want us to reach. Then they can go and take the time to go build that out and go spend the hour a day focusing on what specific articles or content is going to resonate and achieve your objectives. Right. Does that make sense?
It does. And I think part of what it highlights, at least for us and a number of organizations I know where we talk often, part of it is, do you need somebody dedicated to social media? And really for what the doors that it opens, I would imagine the answer is yes, right? And then figuring it out, because, you can get so many opportunities this way.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this, not LinkedIn it's 760 million globally. You're very geocentric, right, to the community of Baltimore and its surrounding. And being able to multiply not just LinkedIn, but all of your social media channels, right, and having that. And this is where the majority of demographic of folks are hanging out now and getting their information. It's not the traditional channels anymore. They live through these channels of social media. So taking kind of a sharpened pencil and a finer eye that the attention in that space is important.
Right. No, I believe it. I see some of my circle participating now. Some of them who I know would call me out on what I'm doing or not doing. So,
well, this isn't a bad thing. This is, like I said, we're gonna continue to ramp up and hockey stick what you've got, what you have now, and what kind of where you're going.
Okay.
So that's, I won't belabor this one too much, but I do think this is important and the good part about this, you can see it gives you very tangible actions that you can follow, which is great. You're not running blind with this. You have a plan that is made available. This is LinkedIn created, so they know based on the entire graph and all the different interactions that happen on their platform what works well, and that's what this is giving you.
That's wonderful. You said the attendees get this as well?
Yep, we're going to share this graphic, I guess you could call it this matrix, to the folks. It'll be an image that they can see. It'll be posted and available.
Wonderful.
So I'm going to stop presenting really quick. I think I can hit just a little bit of run of show issue here. And I have one more topic I want to get into. I'm going to actually ask you, I'm going to pitch it back at you. Okay. If you could share your screen and bring me to your company page one more time.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and scroll down through your feed.
Mm-hmm.
So we can go a little further down. In fact, let's go down to the one from the event that was this morning. I think you had, there we go.
Yeah.
So a couple things here. What you see at the bottom there, if you scroll just below, there's this stats. Now, normally it would say show, but you'd open it. It would show stats. So stats are interesting because they are what we call kind of organic right now. And what I mean by that is you didn't pay any marketing firm or LinkedIn to sponsor this to get more views. This is what the natural or the organic growth was. So inside of that, you're going to see impressions, and that's the number of times the post was shown to LinkedIn members. So someone actually just looked at it and then clicks the number of times your company name, content, or logo was shown.
Okay.
The interactions are the number of engagements. So if you had people that were liking, commenting, sharing on that post. Normally interactions, or reactions, these are all those, you don't get as many versus the views, but it's good to understand. So the point of this, all of this and looking at these are understanding if you have a really strong organic growth of engagement on a particular post or content, you then can scroll up a little bit on that post. If you go to the top of that post there, and you'll see there's this button that says sponsor now.
Right here. Let me click it.
If you could. And so this is Campaign Manager is part of LinkedIn marketing. So this is another service that's available to LinkedIn. It is a cost-based service. And if you click on go to Campaign Manager, and I'm not going to have you sign this up. You don't have it signed up right now. So it's a decision that you want to make. But you'll see it says things like Sholanda's ad account, which that's not probably the best name. You'll want to talk to your team and say, how do we want to build out our marketing Campaign Manager? Yeah. And I'll share screen in a moment, but there's essentially there's a few ways that LinkedIn marketing works. Let me I can step through that. There's sponsored content, which you're looking at right there, that you click that button. There's sponsored in mails. So if you can set up mailing campaigns, like email campaigns through LinkedIn. I think this one, to get the most bang for your buck, it's what you have here. Identifying your organic content. It's a good starting place. Okay. So when you saw that organic growth in content, and then you went and did sponsor now, when you sign up and do all that, it will have a campaign that you can follow. And if you don't mind, one more time, I'd like to share with you what objective marketing is, what it's called by LinkedIn.
Keep this out. Stop sharing, you're saying.
Yeah. And clarity, it's the mail that's in LinkedIn, if that makes sense. It's not like I'm sending it to your Outlook. It's the mail you get like an email inside of LinkedIn when it's in mail.
Let me ask a question while you're pulling that up about
Sure.
cost for campaigns. I know that in other platforms, I've done campaigns before, and you kind of pick a dollar amount,
Mm-hmm.
and then it just goes into that money runs out. Is it similar within LinkedIn? Is it like different packages or anything?
So I don't have the money answer for you, like the costing answer, but your mileage may vary depending upon what you want to use. So what I'll commit to is providing the information to you and the team on what are the different types of marketing available inside of LinkedIn Marketing.
No, but you support that as a mechanism, and the thought is look at some content where I'm already getting some engagement, and
Correct.
then amplify that with the sponsored.
There you go.
And by doing that, then LinkedIn, they determine who else should get it.
There you go. Like this group is associated with the not-for-profit, and we're seeing engagement on other links that seem related. We're going to market this, and that's going to get injected into their feed.
Okay.
So this, and to that front, there's this concept called objective-based advertising inside of the Campaign Manager. The reason I'm going to the site here is because you don't have it signed up. So I'm just going to show you through this website. But it's really based upon, if you remember, what are your objectives that we were talking about? You have this, do you want to do brand awareness? Do you want to have website visits? Like, what do you want to drive?
Yes, and yes. And we want all of that.
So LinkedIn's essentially packaged these solutions based on what those objectives are. So let's say you want to do brand awareness. I could see that as being key. Mm-hmm. You have what it can produce there. You can go and build out the carousel ads. You can do conversational ads that kind of, they send like a message to the person. Dynamic ads, you've probably seen this on LinkedIn, where you'll see that looks like this is associated with you. Do you want to go take a look? Images, and then text. So these are, again, the platform is designed around building the brand awareness or whatever your objectives are. The fact that you have the single ecosystem where all the professional individuals reside, and there's obviously consumers that are inside of here, it's a strong space for you to be able to get that brand awareness and that kind of exposure and enabling that reach that you need using this particular tool. So if this, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Question, and this may not be appropriate for this particular play, mm-hmm. but as an example, I know we're trying to hire a couple team members. Would mm-hmm. we post it and then do something like this to spread it further, or is that using something totally different?
So you can do, you can link, obviously everyone knows LinkedIn as an engine that is to find career, right? Employees, or do your career development and find jobs. To that, this is focused really around building your company brand. LinkedIn does have that ability though around like recruitment, that you can recruit talent as well.
Exactly. So this,
which I don't have really covered in this topic.
No, but it's helpful for us to know. So this is really just about building the brand of our organization. So getting our house in order, making sure we're connecting with the right people and doing all of that.
And generating. So I'm not entirely sure you have a case where you generate leads. You're not for profit, and you're trying to find creating new events or
we are, but we do a little bit of all of it. It's interesting because even when you say like we want to connect with other nonprofits, but for profits, most of our members and board are businesses, and so we want to make sure that we're connecting and serving as a resource for them as well. So it's helpful.
Awesome. So those are my topics. Alicia, did you have any questions maybe that came in through the wire while we were talking?
We do, and I've been updating my LinkedIn profile. So I'm glad I'm glad you said my name like that. Otherwise, I might not come back on it's on my own LinkedIn. No, we have a number of questions that have come in on Facebook via text as well as in the chat. I'm also just say again for people who are listening on their phones, they can put their questions and text them to us 22333, type JHUWL in the message. But let me get to our question. The first one is, someone asked about a link to prior episodes, and you can find them. They've been put in the chat, but you also find them on JH Connects and on YouTube, and they'll be on the Facebook page so you can tune in. Let me get to our first question. How often should we be updating our profiles content-wise? You showed Shalonda about, how often as a business, but how often sort of as an individual and as an individual and as a business. And then the question was, I don't want to be modest about all that I'm doing, but I don't want my page to be overwhelming for potential employers, partners to look through. So how would you tell people to moderate themselves?
So typically and we talked about on the personal profile in the last series in a lot more detail, which I suggest anyone who missed that to go take a look, because we talk about it extensively. But using the first person narrative is key when you talk about your own profile, and you're talking about like your summary in the about section, saying what it is. You don't want it to be a resume, because doesn't reflect really what you've done as a person. It reflects what you've done in your career, but your career is represented by the foundation of you as an individual plus you as your accomplishments. So you want to portray that. How often do you update your content? I would suggest that if you're doing anything like, I'll keep reflecting back to this webinar this morning that Shalonda, that you did. That's like a major moment. That's a great event that you would share. When there's relevant content to share that you think is going to benefit the community and maybe give you good feedback on what you've been doing, that's when you update it. I would say it's not a number. It's like the typical consulting response. It depends, right? And I don't like to say it depends, because that's not a good answer. The answer is when you feel it's what you have is, well, like, I'm going to take this recording, I'm going to put it in my featured content, I'm going to post and say, hey, go take a look at this video that we did. Like, that's a relevant moment that makes sense to share.
That is, and I know my team, some of them are listening as well, but that is an actionable step for us. So you're saying, because we had the webinar with the mayor this morning, we posted it on YouTube. Yep. So then on the section that says featured content on the site, you're saying go in there and we can.
So on your website for the actual, the business page. Yep. If you do a new thread or a new feed that's like an article or a post, it's a video. So here's the thing I'll tell you. There's one thing. You can really get snazzy with this and have a video that plays for maybe just like 20 seconds. Maybe it's less. And then
make them want more.
And then you have a link that's in the article, right? That says click here to go see the full video. Because all of us on here, I'm sure, have been on some other social media platform like Instagram, other folks on TikTok. The idea is immediate engagement. As soon as you hook that person, they're going to stay on and watch it. So if you can get that, like, starting at interesting, maybe it was an interesting topic that the mayor said, and when you were speaking with them, they're going to be, oh, I got to go see that, right? So from a content perspective on your business, that matrix that I had showed gives you the perfect playbook to follow when you want to do content. From a personal perspective, again, when it feels right, if it's something that resonates with you, share it and get it out there.
I like that, because part of what we've struggled with, I know I have personally, is like I'll put an announcement out to say this thing is happening, and then after it's over, it's like, well, what do you do? And you're right, this one today was great, and it impacted all of our city, and so we agreed to share it.
So that's a great bit of information and conversation that happened that others should see. So getting that message out through your channel is how you will do that.
Perfect. Thank you.
Now, this question we have from a new LinkedIn user. They want to work on their presence and increase their exposure as a young professional. Starting from square one, what should I do to get people interested in what I have to offer and find me on LinkedIn?
So first, you know people now, right? You've met people. You obviously have a network of folks that exist. get connected to them in LinkedIn first. Reach out to them, find out and build that initial that groundswell that you can have it for LinkedIn. Go to your school, find people that were at your school that you might know, professors that you might know, people that can start to build out your professional network. When I say go to your school, not physically, go on the school site, find other people that have gone to the same school as you, and make those connections. And as you start to build that gravity and momentum, it's a force multiplying activity because they have other networks out there. And then find groups that you're interested in. Do you like AI? Do you like machine learning? Do you like economic development? Do you like providing to folks that are having challenges? Build that group membership up, because then you'll also find people of like interest in there. And then the same thing with your professional or your personal profile. I will not go into depth. We have the other video on it, but all the details around how you express who you are as genuinely as possible, because if you don't, you might not connect with someone that you would have expected that you should, right? You want to connect with people that know who you genuinely are.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I highly recommend watching the last two, part 1 and part 2, because Brad really does take you through how to fill out your profile. And as a young professional, he is spot on. If you fill that out, I promise good things will happen. So this is just a kudos to you two. Someone said that since the pandemic started, online presence has replaced meeting in person. They've lost a lot with their LinkedIn profile, but this was very helpful. So kudos to you two. Y'all are great. Excellent job. So
thank you.
What is the target? This question we received on Facebook. What is the target market for LinkedIn? Are certain markets better for utilizing than others? So who are you? This is sort of someone wanting to know, who's the target market for LinkedIn?
Everyone, all markets.
All markets.
LinkedIn serves all different industries. So the purpose is to be the platform that everyone can go professionally and connect, that can showcase what they have to offer. So it's not any particular market that is targeted. I have a feed on my LinkedIn that talks about Johns Hopkins applied physics labs and how they have different satellites that are going out and they're doing analysis on other planets. So you have one around how we're giving food back to the community. So it is education or automotive, it's everything. That's the good thing about LinkedIn. But it's the professional network, right? So it's you getting your professional self known and you being able to discover, because there's so much you can discover inside of LinkedIn. It's a great spot for that as well.
This isn't really the platform where you'll see what somebody ate yesterday.
No, that's not this.
Although if your interest or your industry is food, right? Then you want to talk about an exquisite meal that's provided by a small business that's in this community.
Love
right?
that.
That's the case. But
Yes.
yeah, it's not going to be like clickbait type of thing where you're getting them to come.
But I think that's good. And I think that question was really important. I know for us, we've been trying to, at Downtown Partnership, figure out where it plays in sort of that social media mix. And the professional audience is absolutely there. And then we balance, like, what do you say on, how do you, to your point, even with the picture, do we have to be like super polished on LinkedIn? Because our sort of tone and culture is a lot more casual as an organization. And so just trying to figure all of that out.
Authenticity is key, right? And how you can display that is important.
Absolutely. People are asking for the links to this video because some people just wanted to sit back and watch, and you want to try to refer to the video later. You can find this video it will be uploaded to YouTube on JH Connect's channel. You also can go back on Facebook and watch it on JH Connect's, and the YouTube channel is JH Connect's as well. So either one of those channels, you'll be able to upload and watch it. And I think Shalonda probably is going to post it on Downtown Partnership.
Right.
You might just want to go there. JH Connect is going to put it on our page. So there's multiple places you're going to be able to find this.
Right.
The last two sessions could be found in the same way for yourselves. Let me get to this next question that we just received. I see that some people on LinkedIn put only their job titles for various jobs and not their full job descriptions. Is this recommended?
I recommend, so I suggest that you put some narrative in your job as what you've done in that role. Focus maybe on metrics, like what did you accomplish? I increased this by 30% over this period of time. So it's easy for someone to grasp. If you're looking for a job and they need to say, oh, that's a metric of performance, but also put the element of what impact did you provide as a person? You as an individual being in that role, doing that was better because of others, because I provided this impact to the company. So absolutely put as much information into what you've done in that role as you can, because it's going to help better articulate the type of person you are, your character, how you work, etc. And the other piece of it is it essentially helps, it expands, or it makes you more available as a looking for a job, for example. You show up in more searches when you do that.
Yep. So. I will say, I have seen every single time someone gives me an opportunity, I can actually see that they looked at my page maybe the day or two before they made a call. So it is it's interesting. I never thought, but I'll see somebody watching my page, and then the next thing you know, there's a phone call, and then there's an opportunity. You never thought it could happen that way.
I've been paying attention more to that now, and you're absolutely right. I think people are searching when they want to make a move, when they want to ask whatever it is. They're looking at all of those things, so it's helpful to have as much out.
And I think maybe some people may have this stigma or worry that if you're updating your LinkedIn profile and putting content on there, it looks like you're out in the market for a job. And you worry you don't want to be let go because you're doing that. That's not the case at all. All this is showcasing your brand, and don't ever be afraid to update what your experience is, what skills you have, reaching out for recommendations, constantly keeping on that, because the more and more, who knows, there could be a job out there, your dream job that you would never even thought of, but because you've gone and provided all that information about yourself, that employer knows you now, knows to find you because you showed up in that search. So keeping current is extremely important.
Mm-hmm. No, so I have my dream job, but we're looking for some people. They update their LinkedIn page. Maybe we can find them. Is that the moral of the story?
That's the moral of the story. We also going to we have the links to the jobs that Shalonda is talking about.
I keep talking about these jobs. Right?
Amazing jobs. And we're going to make sure they're in the chat, but we also will make sure they're on Facebook. So people that may want to be searching for them can find them. They're also on their LinkedIn page, which is just getting better by the minute. I'm going to take this last question, and then we're going to wrap up. I have a number of announcements to make for everyone. But this last question is, I'm in my first year of college. Really nice. I'm so glad we have like all ages on here. It's really sweet. How soon should I join LinkedIn? Well, sweetheart, you should join now. I mean, seriously, you really should.
Right now. Build the brand early.
I'm going to tell you, Alicia, my daughter is working, has an internship with this company, Mastermind here, and they required their interns to even get LinkedIn pages and to start build that. And she's in high school.
There you go.
Well, your daughter is, I have the pleasure of seeing your daughter in action. She is a superstar. So it's not surprising she has a LinkedIn.
Thank you. She does.
Yes.
Thank you.
Let me wrap us up so I can tell everybody about some exciting things coming up. This is part 3. We are going to have a part 4. Part 4 is on hiring, networking, and profile standout. We're going to wrap all of these sessions up on February 9th. You do not want to miss it. Come back, you'll see, we'll go through another, learn. So bring your laptop, bring your LinkedIn profile so you can start updating it like I did today. On Thursday, we are at 1:00 going to have another Entrepreneurship Matters. That's with Anika Winstead and Sakina Tillman, all about taxes. Everybody should have gotten all their documentations by now. So you will want to hear about these 2 entrepreneurs, 2 wonderful women who have started their own businesses, and they're going to tell you their story. Please follow us on JH Connects on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Let me say thank you to Microsoft. Thank you, Brad and Rupa. You are amazing. Shalonda.
Thank you. Back to you.
Yes, thank
Always
you, Shalonda.
appreciate you. You are amazing. And please follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn, JH Connects, and email us feedback. So let us know how you're enjoying these, and if you have any other things that you'd like to see that would help your business or you as a professional succeed. And you can email us at jhconnects@jhu.edu. Let me thank our partners, Johns Hopkins University, Johns Hopkins Health, Hopkins Local, Microsoft, and LinkedIn, and Downtown Partnership. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you all so much.